Good afternoon and welcome to the 31st episode of Genomics Gupshup. Genomics Gupshup is an initiative by Mapmygenome to be able to bring experts in the field of genomics, medicine, nutrition, and others who understand and are able to simplify this world of genomics for us. We'll go through their journey and we'll try to understand their perspective of different parts of their life, as well as what is going on in the worlds that they are in. Today, we are delighted. We have a renowned nutritionist, somebody I think most people know across India, Dr. Shikha Sharma, who's the founder of Nutriwel. She has done numerous different campaigns, both in terms of awareness, has saved or changed, transformed people's lives through nutrition. So welcome, Dr. Shikha. We are so delighted that you're here on our show today.
Thank you so much. And I must say that, it gives me a lot of happiness to be on the show. Firstly, because you are a trailblazer yourself. You are an engineer and a woman entrepreneur. And not only an engineer and a woman entrepreneur, but you're also, you have gone into a field which is a very, very niche field and the field of the future. So I see your field as a field of the future. And that's why, and genetics was actually my pet subject when I was doing medicine. So if I had not chosen preventive healthcare, I would have chosen genetics, and maybe I would have worked with you in any case.
Yes, nice. So since you talked about your that you liked genetics as a subject during your medical the course of doing medicine, can you tell us a little bit about your journey as a doctor? Who inspired you, or what inspired you, and how did you transition from there to becoming a health entrepreneur?
So the first part was very easy because my whole family, my mom and my aunts, everybody wanted me to be a doctor. I wanted to be a doctor. I had my mom, right when I was a small kid, told me, there are only two professions you will do. Either you'll become an IAS officer or you will become a doctor. So it was very, cut out for me that these are the two directions you will take. So, so doctor I became, and I anyway love biology. I love the field. I love the subject, and things were good. But I think when I passed out as a medical doctor and I was posted in the department of cardiology, and we are very young at that time, every day of my posting, every day of my duty in ICU, I saw one person die. And that hit me very hard. And I'm a self-diagnosed empath, which means that I'm a highly sensitive individual according to the psychometric profile, and an empath. That means I absorb people's sadness, grief very, very strongly. So I absorb people's energy very strongly. And that hit me very hard because I saw families collapsing. I mean, the male member has died at the age of 40 or 50, and the whole family completely collapses. There is no earning member, it's finished. So that set me thinking that, medically we have been trained as doctors that that heart attack is a lifestyle disorder. It's not something which is an accident. It is a journey of bad living, bad choices, bad nutrition choices, bad stress, not managing your stress, not doing the right thing. And finally, that journey culminates in a death. Mm-hmm. So I thought to myself that as a medical doctor, why am I seeing patients at the end? And I'll give you a small analogy, which I give to everyone is, suppose there is a road, and that road has very bad potholes like Bangalore. And every day, because of a bad pothole, there is an accident and someone is dying. Now, the direction we seem to be taking is that, if there is a pothole, people are dying, build a hospital next to the pothole. Or ambulance service also, so that the people can be rushed to the hospital quickly. And then maybe some smart aleck will come and say, let's give them insurance also. So that is the direction as an industry we are taking, that we're building hospitals next to the pothole, giving them ambulances, putting an insurance system, but we are not fixing the pothole, which is at 1 billion the cost. And that's why I thought, as a preventive healthcare doctor, I wanted to get into prevention. And obviously my family was aghast because cardiologists sound so much fancier than a nutritionist. So they were saying, what are you up to? You should be going overseas, you should be practicing, getting the best of training. You're becoming a dietitian. What is a dietitian? It's all useless. So they tried hard. A lot of my well-wishers teachers also said there is no future in nutrition. This is a chalta phirta field. This is nothing. There is no future. You are a doctor, but your soul call. There is a soul you listen to, and that voice, once you start hearing, you can never stop. So my soul told me this is the area you have to go to. So I actually shut my ears out. I did not listen to anybody. I became very stubborn. I said, this is the future, because I know as a doctor, if I have to save patients, I have to fix that pothole.
So I have to tell you something which you said, which was like you didn't listen to people and you went ahead with listening to your own calling. There was this study that recently, I mean, we are doing this whole longevity study and trying to understand. And one of the things that Professor Anil Gupta, with whom we are collaborating on this, said that when they did the research, they found that women live longer, and women who followed their own, like who did not listen and give in to things, they live longer. So I think you're sort of adding to that list of women who might not necessarily be docile and listen to everything and do what others tell them, and so
much,
which sort of that.
I want to live longer.
Yeah, that, I mean, anyway, you have the right lifestyle and you do everything right, so that also adds up, right? Sorry, I disturbed you, but it just came in my head, and I just thought I'll talk about this a little bit.
No, I agree. See, what I believed is, like people say, you should listen to your heart, or you should listen to your mind. I have come to the conclusion: listen to your soul. Your soul talks to you. People, if people care to listen to their soul, it is one of the most powerful messages which you get, and everybody's soul talks to them if they care to listen. So our bodies talk to us, our soul talks to us, our mind talks to us, our heart talks to us. But the voice of the soul is a message. Once you hear, it gives you a lot of confidence, and that's one way I decipher whether it's my heart talking to me, or my mind talking to me, or my soul talking to me. Because when my soul talks to me, it gives me courage, and then I can know, okay, this feeling is coming from the soul.
Absolutely, I fully agree. I think if people just listened, I think that to their inner voices or the soul, that would itself drive them to the right direction. And actually, when you were saying about the potholes, I was going to say that one of the analogies I use is that if there is a problem or a traffic in one place, you typically go the other way. But I didn't know that was a great thing to learn, that we are building the hospitals next to the pothole instead. So it's a different way of looking at things. I think that's how, whether our minds work on the preventive aspects versus looking at it from, how do you grab an opportunity that is presenting itself, right? I mean, that's a different thing. But in your mind, do you think that that people choose health, or we hear of so many people that, die much before they should die, right? I mean, eventually all of us will die, but, people are dying way earlier. Do you think that people choose or have health as what is going on in their minds? Why can't, this be something that is obvious to everybody?
That's a very good question. Very good question. So what I would say is that people are scared of dying. But the paradox is that people abuse their bodies as if they're never going to die. So they abuse their bodies as if they're immortal, and at the same time, they're scared of dying. So which brings me to the point that somewhere, because we from childhood have been trained to live badly, to eat badly, to not look at health, we have learned very bad habits as a child. All of us. If you see in a typical Indian family, how much the child is force-fed. Eat, eat, eat. Everything is eat, eat, eat. And eating is not bad, but look at the kind of foods we are feeding our kids. Horrible. We never encourage our kids go exercise. We never encourage our kids eat fruits and eat healthy. We are only, very good, well done. 80% marks, chocolate. Very good, well done. Today we call home delivery, and home delivery is never good food. It's always a pizza or a burger. So what I'm trying, and parents first they feed their kids wrong. Then they say कि अभी नहीं खाएगा कब खाएगा. I don't understand that psychology, because most parents don't remember that we are prisoners of our habits.
True, absolutely.
Today if I want to change some of the bad habits I've learned, it's really hard. Anu. I mean, I will tell you that I really have to be very aware and conscious that look, this is a bad habit and don't do this. Let's change it. But it's a journey. It's a journey of self-awareness. I'll give you a small example. Like when I was in school, I started drinking tea, which became worse in college because we used to do all-night studies, and group of people sitting and very little money. Obviously, as students, you don't have money, so the only thing you kept doing was chalo tea break, ye break. That habit has taken me years and years of consciously reminding myself that you are going overboard with your tea and coffee. Control it. So I think as parents, as healthcare providers, if there is one thing I could say is, let's start building good healthy habits from nursery, and let it be a mandate for all institutions.
So do you think that if we just if you want to mandate, and behavior change is not easy, but if you start early, clearly I think it has a lot of good things that we will see later on. But how do we do that, right? I mean, when a child, for instance, if we don't, let's assume we don't force feed, or that's an obvious thing, but a lot of people still continue to do it because they somehow think that the child is not getting enough nutrients, right? So one is, maybe if you can help parents understand what is healthy eating for a child. The second is that if we force children, will they rebel and do exactly the reverse, right? That could be another thing that might come up. And I'm just saying, you probably see parents and children all the time. So what is your advice to like a lot of the people who are coming in for these questions, that they want to inculcate these good habits, but they don't know how, right? I mean, is it that they have to come to you and do it, or is there some things at least they can do themselves?
Okay, so I'll just first throw out two words, or rather put in front of you through two words, and then I will expand on it. One is honesty, or authenticity, rather. The word is authenticity. And the second word I want to not throw out but put up right in front is the power of self-awareness. And sorry, and the third word is obesogenic environment. So let's take one step at a time. The first thing is that, like I said, we are creatures of habit. So the parents have learned it from their parents. And now the same obesogenic environment they have created in their homes. Lots of bhujiyas, lots of chips, everything full. I mean, your child is not a saint. You fill your cupboards with junk food and then you expect the child not to eat. You fill your refrigerator with fizzy drinks and chocolates and then say don't eat it. So what I'm trying to say is, are we creating an obesogenic home? We are, very clearly. The second is authenticity. I have so many, I mean, now, of course, I want to put a disclaimer out there that last 18 years, I have done no consultation. I'm just managing the business. And we have about 51,000 patients who have done programs with us. And we have our team of dietitians and Ayurvedic doctors who manage patients. So I'm not into patient dealing as such, but I look at research and data at the back, what is coming. 51,000 patients. What came out clearly is people are not authentic. Obese parents coming to our doctors and dietitians saying, "Hamare bachche ko mana karo ki wo chocolate na khaye." I mean, if you are getting chocolate at home, what is the poor kid going to do? Obviously eat.
Correct.
So what I'm trying to say is that in my own home, I put a ban on these chips and chocolates because I used to have, now they're a little grown up, but like nephew and nieces who would come home and they would say, "Nani house, we're going to have fun." And our cupboards are full of those so-called kid food, which is all junk food. And I said, no way. This food is not going into our nephew and nieces. And I completely removed everything. So it was a struggle, but it was worth it. Because you see, people do not understand that they are harming their children.
Yeah.
They think it's love. It's not love. It's harming our kids, our babies. So if you cook fresh food, healthy food, I'm saying give them biryani, give them pulao, give them parantha, give them, give them all those foods, but don't give them packaged food.
I think that is, and hopefully an easy thing for people to do, but I don't think so. But it takes effort for people to get there. But I think it's a great start if at least people are aware that it is bad. Number one, and number two is at least remove it in front of your sight. Right? I have the same problem. Right? I call it the seafood syndrome. Like if I see it in front of me, I eat it. Otherwise, I'm not even thinking about it. So,
but you're healthy. You're so fit, and I've seen you get fitter and fitter over the years. So obviously,
it's awareness. Yeah. I think it's awareness, and I had the same, like you mentioned, the chai ka habits and all that. And now what I've done is I have consciously reduced the number of this thing, but I also the last 7 years I've removed sugar from all of these drinks. Right, anything that I do regularly, remove the sugar. I love desserts, but so I keep it for occasion to celebrate. But I think what I did was to remove milk and sugar from most beverages so that at least when you drink it, it's not calories, and you automatically reduce the number of times you drink, right? So those kind of things, I think if people start writing down, I think they'll know what they're eating. Otherwise, people don't count some of the things they eat late at night, what time they're eating, and all of that as well, right? So what have you found that, a lot of times I think people come to us, for instance, for a genetic report, then they come and see you for a nutritional consult. They start it, but some people give up, right? So how do we get people to stick on to something? What are the special tools that someone like you has, that you keep all your 51,000 and growing population of patients? So where do people mostly give up? Like, is it just that they cannot stop eating the foods that they are habituated to, or is it something else?
It's only one thing. Two things. The first, of course, is because it's a habit and they're unconscious about it. So 1 month, 2 months, or whatever time they do it consciously. After that, life takes over and they lose. So the bad habits take over. The second thing, and which is more important actually, is the whole family problem. The whole family is eating bad. The whole family dynamics is of eating bad, living bad. So one person who tries to break out of it doesn't succeed. And there, in fact, I would suggest, this thought came to me, we should create a community of people who have had the courage to come out of those bad habits, and that support group has to be created. That's the only way we can save people and their lives. Because what happens is, I'll give you an example. Suppose in a family, the mother and father both have very bad habits of eating, of not exercising, of taking stress, of just watching TV and not, just simply not doing anything. Now, if their child is born in that family, because genetics is both. Genetics is ingrained behavior, as well as that
even habits,
habits and all that. So now that kid, if that kid tries to do something, the mother will say, "Arey, maine itne pyar se banaya, tumne kha rahe." Emotional blackmail. Or if the person is, going out for exercising after coming back home, and the father is saying, "Bhai, mere saath 10 minute baithne ka time nahi." Emotional blackmail. Now, obviously, then finally the person will give up, that it's too hard and let me just become like them. So even people who try to break out of these bad habits, the family keeps them back. And again, I'm coming back to the families, because families don't realize that it's the whole genesis of all these things is happening. And that is why, it's a very interesting thing. But if you see people from obese families, kids from obese families, then they go to a boarding school, their weight changes. And it's not just about bad food at boarding school, it's because they're away from the bad habits in their homes. So I'm not trying to blame family for anything, but I'm saying the family is the most powerful influence. So it is incumbent upon the family to create a healthy ecosystem inside the home and not blame the children later.
And do you think that their peers also have some influence on their behavior later point?
No, absolutely. See, what happens is that suppose if you hang out with kids who are doing more exercise, you will naturally, even if you don't want to, you will exercise, you will eat better. But if you hang out with kids who are having the same bad habits as you, and that's the vicious cycle. You come from a family which doesn't have good healthy habits. In school, then birds of a feather flock together. So you tend to hang out with other kids who have a similar system. And ultimately, these two become such powerful forces. You know, like Mahatma Gandhi said, and I'm sure a lot of other people said that what you think, your thought, if it is repeated, becomes your belief system. Your belief system becomes your habit, and your habit is your destiny. So from thought to belief system to habit, it's our destiny. So we are constructing our destiny by either not making those choices, by being unconscious about those choices, and eventually we blame ki this was our karma, this was our fate. So destiny or karma can throw up curveballs, but it doesn't give you bad habits.
Absolutely. I think you can, that is, even in the Bhagavad Gita, they say that, you do have some things that are there, but you also have free will, right? And I think that's, so what is given to you is your genetics, but there is free will to change. And I think a lot of people don't do that, right? So can you give us maybe some example of, I'm sure many transformation stories are there, but maybe one or two for people to sort of get inspired on, in terms of when people came to you, maybe before a genetic test, after a genetic test, or otherwise. Can you talk a little bit about any story that comes to your mind?
Plenty. Like, for example, see, when people get a test, for example, they get a blood test, they see all their reports, they get a genetic test. That's the first step towards tangible awareness. Why I say tangible awareness? Because you are going towards awareness and being conscious of your body, and then you're making it tangible, measurable by doing some assessment, some test, blood test, genetic test. Now there is a proof in front of your mind that this is wrong, this is not looking good. And with that tangible evidence, you can structure a good program, or you can join a program for change. So we have had people, the most satisfying is women who were not getting fertile, they got fertile and had a baby. People who were diabetic, high blood pressure, liver problem, and they were on the road to health. And they did the test, they changed their course, they changed their destiny. Then we had people who, like for example, we have had some cancer patients. And after being diagnosed with cancer, they actually decided to change their nutrition habits completely. And they are recovering very well. So what I'm saying is, from something like infertility to cancer to lifestyle disorders, it's in our hands. People don't realize. People think, when I started my profession, people were looking at obesity as more like glamour, aesthetics, more like shadi hone wali hai, meri beti ko patla kar do kinds, Today, people are looking at nutrition, genetics as more like a scientific way to live, a more progressive, more conscious way to live.
Correct.
Initially, when we used to tell somebody a blood test karao, they used to say, kuch nikal aayega, hame nahi karana. They're happy.
Yes. I think people hope that just because we find like that, if you don't find out, it will go away. It doesn't, unfortunately, right?
It's like driving a car without a speedometer or without a petrol, indicator. How can you drive a car without a petrol indicator or speedometer? So I don't understand this. How do they go through life without assessments?
Yeah, I think it is just that they feel, because when they hear about other stories, and then they hear about people who say that उसको पता चल गया था, उसके बाद में then obviously I think maybe they find out too late when you can't do anything about it.
Problem is, yeah, they have. In fact, genetic testing could be done as part of wellness programs. It should be done.
And I also encourage a lot of times, like you mentioned, families to do it together, because I think if only one person does it, then let's say if the cooking is being done for the whole family, you're still cooking things that are maybe not the appropriate things that you might want to eat, right? And therefore, if the whole family does it, it becomes easier for people to understand and say, how do we change our behavior as a family rather than as an individual, right? And I think we're starting to see that change happen in different families.
In fact, here I want to talk about a little bit about epigenetics also.
Absolutely.
And for people who may not have heard the term or do not understand the term, it's one of the most beautiful things which I have heard in the last 10 years. And that is the power to actually change the way your genetics behave. Right? So it has been seen that your genes will respond to a certain stimulus. Let's say, suppose somebody has a genetic profile, and if they have drinks, it's going to give them liver failure. The other person may have a genetic profile that with little extra drinks also the liver failure will not happen. Similarly, one person may have a profile that even if you smoke a little bit, you will get cancer, but the other person has a genetic profile that even if you smoke a little more, you will not get cancer. So which means that genetics wise, we are predisposed to be more vulnerable to certain diseases. Now, if someone can know about it early on, then you can choose
the triggers,
poisons, and you can choose your nutrients. Yes. Because a lot of people say, oh, I don't want to live like a saint. I say, go ahead, but at least choose your poisons well. Don't choose other people's poison. So I think that's important, that whole awareness about what works for you, what doesn't work. Like, for example, I'll give you another example, that curd is healthy, right? But it doesn't suit me. So now I know what I have to eat, what I don't have to eat. But earlier, if I had continued on my trajectory of having too much of dairy and curd, I would have ended up with a sinus surgery, 100%, because it used to fill my sinuses. So what I'm trying to say is that if you understand your body, you understand, okay, these are the strengths and these are the weaknesses. Like in management, we do strength, weakness, opportunity, threat. So similarly, if you do your own analysis and you know that these are my strengths, here genetically I'm strong, and here genetically I'm weak, then at least you can protect your weaknesses by corrective action rather than just, having a crash or an accident just because you didn't know.
Absolutely. I think, we call it the SWOT analysis, maybe from now onwards, on what you can do, understand your strengths, weaknesses, where your threats can, because especially given that, your background is in cardiology. And I think recently we've started seeing a lot of people some who are dying while exercising, for instance. That is one, where you have a sudden risk for sudden cardiac arrest. Or there are some who it's just a cumulative effect of lots of bad choices, one after the other. So in those cases, do you think that COVID has played any role in this thing? Suddenly, because there's a lot of literature out there that a lot of people who are talking about that COVID has really, changed a lot of things. So one, do you think COVID has really changed our world? And two, do you think that, something can be done to reduce the burden of all these cases, or are we just hearing a lot of these cases now compared to previously? Too many questions in one, I know, but
see, firstly, what I would say is that COVID has changed our world completely. So there was a world pre-COVID and there is a world post-COVID. And I will take it on two levels. One is a macro and one is a micro. One is at a global level, one is an individual level. At an individual level, there is huge inflammation which is happening in everybody's bodies due to various reasons, but at a macro level, what COVID has thrown the whole world is in a new paradigm. So this paradigm actually is, there will be more of female entrepreneurs coming in. There'll be more of organic consciousness coming in. There'll be more of natural wellness and less chemicals coming in. There'll be more of new leadership styles, which are very feminine, which is collaboration, communication, cooperation, right? So this leadership style and connectivity, technology. So connectivity, communication, collaboration, this whole thing will become very, very feminine, leadership style driven, which means genetics, nutrition, healthcare, data transparency, all this will come up in a very big way, right? Similarly, if you look at it at an individual level, because of this huge inflammation which COVID virus has put in all of us, if we don't look after by balancing with right herbs, right nutrition, right lifestyle, we are sitting ducks for death. And what I'm saying is, we all know death will come, but we are not talking about only death, we're talking about a very poor quality of life. We know of billionaires who did not look after their health and had a very poor quality of life. So the question is not of an early death or a late death. A lot of people argue with me, so what? You're going to die, let me enjoy. I'm saying you will not enjoy. You will be taking 6 shots of insulin. You'll be on a wheelchair. You'll be having no energy to walk. You will have all the money, but you can't travel because you'll be all the time wheelchair bound. So you have to choose. The choice is not between living and dying. Dying is easy. I mean, it's the end of the story. The choice is between living a good life, a high quality life, or living a life where your body becomes a prison rather than a celebration of life.
Absolutely. I think there's a lot of times people are thinking about just today, right? Like I remember one of my uncles was highly diabetic, and he was eating a lot of he was eating this mango, which I told him. He said, I eat it every day. And I said, and your sugar level is? And he said 340 or some number, which was like really like not in my, like even in my vocabulary of what I would consider as a normal blood sugar. But I think ultimately he did pass away, but it was just that, he had to have certain operations. You get to a point where you can't do the things that you think you're making those choices for today. And if only, I think, if people like that become a little bit more careful, maybe there are certain things that you will continue to enjoy these things over a period of time, rather than say that, you're getting diabetic retinopathy, or you're getting your feet to be, operated on, or you're getting different kinds of problems that come up. People don't think that they will progress to that level as somebody else. But the reality is, once it does, and you don't do anything about it, you will get there, right? I mean, and I think people need to be shown what their future, if they continue on the same path, versus if they try to go in a path that is maybe on the reverse side, right? I think maybe, and let them know that nutrition can totally help in that.
Absolutely. No, that's what I'm saying. When I look at priorities, I think fundamentally that's where I feel that our Indian Vedic systems, not only in nutrition, but Indian Vedic systems in terms of philosophy are so important. Because I think somewhere we forget the whole thing that even if you have a house with 15 bedrooms, and even if you have 6 cars in your driveway, but if you are extremely ill, you are going to live only in one body. You're living in that body, and this is actually the home we have. And this is not only the home, this is also the equipment with which we interface the world. So if your own equipment is personal, like there's a personal computer, this is your personal body. This is the biggest computer you carry. If this is completely damaged, there is no replacement. I mean, you can do a knee surgery, but believe me, a natural knee and an artificial knee surgery, there's a huge difference in terms of mobility, in terms of many other things. So I think if just staying alive is the goal, then of course go ahead and do whatever. But if celebrating life and living life and having a very high quality of life is the goal, then we need to have a conscious approach to living.
So let me maybe ask you that in your, what are the most common misconceptions people come with when they come to you as an aggregate? Maybe I'm sure there are many, but if you can maybe tell a couple of them that are completely untrue in a sense. People think they are true. But I think you mentioned some though already, like.
The biggest browse I have, and it continues, is this whole calorie concept. Very early in my profession, I discovered the calorie concept is a big fraud. It's a big farce. It's completely unscientific. And to give you a small example, you are an engineer yourself. So, the whole calorie concept is based on combustion, which is burning. And in the body, metabolism happens. There is no combustion. And because of this wrong and misplaced concept, people have been driven in the wrong direction. Again, I'll give you an example. Combustion means that you burn something. Now, when you eat an apple, you do not burn an apple. You basically disintegrate an apple into its various components, which is fiber, which is amino acid, which is carbohydrates, which is protein, which is essential fatty acids, and they are rebuilt almost like a Lego into a new structure. Now, because of this problem, what people have been doing is that sugar has only 16 calories a teaspoon. That means 10 teaspoons of sugar has only 160 calories. So if you compare a bowl of sprouts sitting at, say, 200 plus calorie and a bowl of sugar, 10 teaspoons of sugar with 160 calorie, you can have that bowl of sugar. And how do we have it? Obviously, we don't eat a bowl of sugar. What we do is aerated drinks, fast foods, wafers, even like somebody told me, and I didn't want to laugh out of politeness, that I'm eating very healthy. I'm having cornflakes. Cornflakes is pure sugar. It's nothing to do with corn.
Yeah.
There's so much sugar in cornflakes. I mean, it looks like cornflakes, but it's actually a lot of sugar. Bread, the glycemic index of bread is as much as sugar. So, that's where I feel that we need to start young. Basic education is missing, and this calorie concept has ruined our modern world.
Absolutely. And did you also hear this? And I think someone else mentioned on one of these shows is they said, "Nahi, main to sugar. I've stopped all sugar. I only eat good."
So I heard a better one actually.
Okay.
When I was practicing as a doctor, this gentleman, he was compared to our normal OPD patients, he was a little better off in terms of financial this thing. He said, "Ji, madam, मैंने तो सब oil बंद कर दिया, सब कुछ बंद कर दिया. हमारी मिसेज ने तो सीखा है olive oil में पूरी तलना."
So that's not oil.
He didn't think. He thought only ghee is oil. Olive oil is some. So he's frying olive oil, and his missus is very happy. She's frying his puris in olive oil. I said, "Wow!" I mean, seriously, that there is no end to this Another misconception: हमारा बच्चा दूध नहीं पिएगा बीमार हो जाएगा. I said, "What is so great in milk?" नहीं, दूध तो सबसे complete food है. I don't know who started this myth that milk is a complete food. It only has proteins and it has some calcium. It is not complete in any way. So I think what happens is sadly that a lot of these myths are propounded by semi-educated people in the industry who don't go into the details of the science. So, so it propagates. So, a milk industry, somebody would come up and create an ad line and everybody just believes that ad line. So I think it's incumbent on scientists to actually, or people who are professionals to actually go and question that who started this myth that milk is a complete food. It is not.
In fact, I think one doctor told me not so long ago that, if Indians stop drinking milk after, a certain age, we would solve more than 60-70% of our gastro problems. So
I agree. I completely agree. And when, being here in North India, I mean, when my dietitians used to suggest that don't have milk for a while, to grown-up men, 40, 50, they would say, nahi, hum bimar pad jayenge. So that is the obsession with milk.
That's very interesting. So let me move on to, maybe if you can explain to our viewers, in your opinion, what is prevention in simple terms?
Prevention is very simple, that we have to have delicious food and consciously chosen. It has to be delicious. We cannot be eating food which depresses us, but consciously and lovingly made. So which means that, for example, a lot of people don't have fruits in their daily diet. They just don't eat fruits. A lot of people don't eat salads in their diet, not even kheera. I mean, I know Indians have a problem with lettuce and cabbage, but not even kheera tomato, which is so basic, which you can buy
Anyway,
all the time. So we don't have those kind of things in our diet. We don't have fruits in our diet daily. People will eat, but they will eat once in a while, once in a week or something. And that also only mango or grapes, not the other fruits.
Mm-hmm.
The third thing I feel is people don't have vegetable juices. Vegetable juices are really nice, a wonderful, a delicious way to have, like you can have smoothies. Then I would say people don't understand our kitchen herbs at all, like cinnamon, garlic, onion, tulsi, ginger. I mean, we have a whole pharmacy sitting there in our kitchen. People don't know. In fact, I just want to add here, if you allow me, we are running training courses. We are running online training courses. We're actually training and certifying people to become Vedic nutritionists and Vedic health coaches. And the single biggest reason we started this, and we started during pandemic only, was because we got fed up with the misinformation. We thought, if nobody's teaching, let's start teaching. And it's a certified course, and we have trained about 1,800 people so far. Mm-hmm. So I think correct education, scientific education, keeping the Vedic system also. So Vedic system is not something which we are teaching just casually. It's based on scientific methodology.
And what is nutrigenomics in your?
So nutrigenomics is okay. This is something fantastic. In fact, what we call is that what we are doing, our work is nutrigenomics. So, and first I will explain it simply, then I will tell you, because you are a genetic scientist, that how we are doing it. To put it simply, everybody has a different sort of a DNA, and something which is very common. People say कि भाई मैं पानी भी पीती हूँ, मुझे घी लगता है. Another person is binging on paranthas and they don't put on weight. So this is genetics, no? How your body handles food. So when I started my profession in this area in preventive healthcare, I was stumped because I was trained in Western medicine completely and I had no clue about all this. But the answers to our patients' queries I found in Vedas. So what we realized is that different people have different body types. Their digestion capability, their processing, how we process food is very different for different body types. And therefore, we need to give them a certain set of foods which is most compatible with them. I gave you a very small example of curd, that it's not compatible with my body. Similarly, certain foods are not compatible with 1, 2, or 3. So you have to, like for example, everybody can't eat salads like that. I mean, I can live on salads, but there's certain people who get gas if they eat salads. So for them, what we do is vegetable juices, and if they have to have salads, they have to put oil. Mm-hmm. It could be an olive oil dressing, it could be some other dressing, but they have to put oil in the salad. They can't eat it raw. We don't give them raw. So like this, nutrition according to your genetic profile. This 20 years back I started. And at that time, everybody laughed that, khana to khana hota hai. What is this nutrigenomics? So it took me 20 years to actually explain to people that what we are trying to do. And we have seen results because of that. Now, so basically eating according to your own body type, which the best solution I found in Ayurveda. Ayurveda has talked about it 10,000 years back. I mean, 5,000 years of recorded history. Otherwise, in my opinion, 10,000 years back. They have spoken about that there are different body types, and these body types should eat differently to get the best results in terms of health and longevity.
So I guess now we've just made it easier to sort of get some of that information using just a saliva-based test, so you at least get that information. And I think after that, you can still characterize them. I think I went myself to Ayurveda, the Panchkarma, and I think, I feel it is very valuable and it helps all of us. So I think there is a combination of both, your background as a cardiac doctor, as well as you've picked up a lot of many other things, whether it's nutrition and Ayurveda and many other things, to be able to use a science-based solution really in this. So
I would say that going forward, genetics and nutrition have a very, very good future. Because at the end of the day, the only way modern medical science will get convinced is if genetic test is done and nutrition therapy is deployed and then changes are measured. Because the problem with many of my fellow doctors is because we are trained in hard evidence. So we need to start evidence-based prescriptions. And because now genetics has reached that point where you can actually do a saliva test and then
Get the
deploy
information.
a therapy and show the change. So this is, I feel this is like a watershed moment for preventive healthcare.
That's great. So I know that we have only a few minutes left with you. So I want to move on to the rapid fire round. Okay. So here I'll just ask you a few questions, and there'll be quick answers to those questions. So we'll start with, which is your favorite book on nutrition?
I would say Charak.
Sure. Oh, wow. Okay.
Because all other books are not exciting. I like Dr. Deepak Chopra's books also, but Charak is the Bible.
Great. Are you a morning person or a night person?
Unfortunately, a night person, but I'm trying to be a morning person now.
Okay. Your favorite place to travel to?
I would say Greece. I just love that place. I mean, I just love the country, and Athens is one of my favorite. It has a lot of history.
Absolutely. I love Athens too. So if you're not a doctor or a nutritionist or an Ayurveda scientist, now I'm adding all of that, what would you choose to be?
Excellent question. I think I would be a health journalist.
That's a great this thing. Maybe you can do that also. Who knows?
Yeah, I would definitely be a health journalist because I think I like journalism. I like reporting on information, and health is always my passion.
What is the most common complaint about you by your friends?
From my clients, they say Dr. Shikha diet nahi deti, Dr. Shikha milti nahi, Dr. Shikha is not consulting. That's the most favorite constraint. My friends always tell me is that you put too much. Your life is all about your work. So I say I like people love their kids, love their husbands, love their families. For me, my work is my first love, literally the first love. I think, dream, eat, sleep, work. And I mean, a lot of people say that you work too hard. I say, it's just being in love with work. So, I mean, for me, there is no difference between the two.
So work-life balance for you is a continuum.
It's I mean, I go to weddings. I literally go to weddings, and my sister looks at me, glares at me because I've opened my Vedic app and I'm showing people how to operate a Vedic app. And she says, "Stop it! Don't do this here."
I know. I think people don't like they don't understand that you really like doing what you do. Then
I love
it's a
doing it. I
natural.
mean, I love.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would say that if I was given many lifetimes, I would continue to do the same kind of work every lifetime.
Okay. And what would you do more of, and what would you do less of if you had a choice?
I mean, in fact, I think I'm going to make that choice very shortly. I think I would stop micromanaging because I love work. So if I see there is an opportunity to work, I pick it up, and that's very bad. So I think I'm taking a conscious choice to step back in my office and let others take the lead because that's one. And what would I do more of is I think I would do more of what I'm doing with you. I would do more of educational sessions. I would love to do more of research. I would love to be an advocate of preventive healthcare at all levels, whether it's government or international, because my love shines through because I love this work. So I think for me, advocacy, research would make more sense than micromanaging everybody and driving everybody mad. That's what I do, unfortunately.
And how do you stay so young? What are the secrets of healthy aging?
Thank you for that compliment. Thank you very much for that compliment. And I think if I was to put it, I'm an optimist, and I wasn't an optimist when I was younger. I was a crybaby, but over the years, I think because I love my work and I enjoy it, so I think that shows through. Second thing, obviously, is because of my work, I have made better food choices in my life. And third, last but not the least, I would also say that, if I can say that, is, when you do honest work, you get blessings from people.
Absolutely.
And I consider myself extremely fortunate to receive so much love and blessings from people, that I feel it's only because of that honest work. Otherwise, there are a lot of problems. You see what's happening in Turkey, you see what's happening in Russia. I mean, the world has problems, and if we have been spared, there must be some blessings coming our way.
Absolutely. And to end, do you have any other words of, you've already shared a lot of words of wisdom, but anything that you would like to tell the viewers before we close?
I would copy this statement, plagiarize this statement. I would say, eat healthy, love yourself unconditionally and others, and pray to a higher source to give you energy whenever you feel lost.
Absolutely. I think with those absolutely fantastic words, we would like to thank you very much for being here. And it's always such a pleasure. You always radiate such positive energy that it's always a pleasure to talk to you. And thank you again very much.
Thank you so much. And I would say that, it's such a delight to be with you. I admire your work. I admire the way the way you are building your company. And I think you are a role model for many women, many entrepreneurs who really want to do something magical with their talent. So congratulations to you.
Thank you. And back at you as well. So thank you. Bye.